Okay, so here we are live once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing, and this is Lex Luthor in the power suit from DC Rebirth. It's the Superman armor. So basically, what happened for those of you who are unfamiliar is when they decided that they'd had enough of the New 52. I had enough of the New 52 in 2011, but when DC finally realized that that probably wasn't the way they needed to be going anymore, they went back to the previous version of Superman, and they actually killed off the New 52 Superman, who was technically a separate character. Now, eventually in Rebirth, they would kind of streamline the history of Superman so that basically like they dovetailed the New 52 Superman history into the regular Superman history somehow, and basically, it was kind of a do-over as far as that goes. But they killed off the New 52 Superman, and the post-crisis Superman uh, was actually living in that universe secretly with Lois and baby Jonathan for the past 10 years. And he was kind of being a secret Superman in like a black stealth suit. It was a really cool miniseries, but that miniseries was so well received, and the New 52 Superman wasn't doing so hot in terms of sales. So they're like, hey, let's just make the old Superman back into the main Superman again. But since Superman was still kind of operating in secret at the time that the New 52 Superman died, Lex Luthor decided he'd step up and become the new Superman. So this is an older figure, and you can tell by the fact that rather than a piece of artwork on the back, they've got a photograph of the action figure, and then the cross cell down at the art bottom is Dark Shazam, Wonder Woman. I think that was like the original Mcfarlane design, but it's so tiny it's hard to tell. The unmasked version of Shriek, the Injustice 2 version of Dr. Fate, and I think that's the White Knight version of Batman. There's maybe a closer look. Maybe you guys can tell. Uh-oh, I'm about to sneeze. Damn it. That was a bad one. So let's go ahead and open them up and have a look at our figure. I've been meaning to buy this one for a while, and I already had the I think it was Forever Evil Lex Luthor is what that one was, and the purple and green armor, the more traditional look for Lex Luthor. And hey, this guy comes with a flight stand. That's pretty cool. So I'm probably going to open up this trading card, and it's probably going to say all the stuff that I already said. I might as well just wait to open the trading card. But whatever. Here we go. All right. And it's the same photograph of the figure that we previously saw. Here's what the back looks like, and it reads Lex Luthor Power Suit, DC Rebirth, real name Alexander Lex Luthor, a brilliant businessman and inventor. Billionaire Lex Luthor once saw himself as the most powerful man on Earth until Superman arrived. Rather than using his wealth and genius to help humanity, Luthor has used his gifts in repeated attempts to destroy the Man of Steel. But when Superman died and Metropolis needed a hero, Luthor took it upon himself to step up and fill the void, donning his own high-tech battle armor, now emblazoned with its very own S shield and on the chest, and Superman's red cape on the back. Luthor attempts to become the newest superhero of Metropolis, but how long can he keep up the heroics before reverting back to his evil ways? And at one point, Luthor wound up getting possessed by Darkseid, and so you had like kind of like a half Darkseid, half Lex Luthor in this Superman armor. And McFarlane made a figure of that too. I'll probably try to get that one of these days because it's pretty cool. So yeah, he's got the flight stand, so that's nice. Always like it when figures have flight stands, and I kind of feel like all flying figures should have flight stands. All action figures should have action figure stands, and all flying action figures should have flying action figure stands because that's cool. I like it. So there was a rubber tab around his midsection and one that went around both legs, and I think that's all the rubber tabs. So let's go ahead and take them out. And this one, the package is kind of damaged, the blister. It's an older figure, but it checks out. His hands are taped into the package. How strange is that? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Let's go ahead and get him out. And he's got this plastic molded cape. You can see there's no S on the back. According to the trading card, this is actually Superman's cape, and I believe that's how it was in the comics. I haven't read those comics in a while, but that's how I remember that going. So this should have a black S shield on the back, since that's what the new 52 version of Superman had. Oddly enough, I think his emblem looks a lot closer to the classic Superman emblem, which he would not have been familiar with, because the new 52 Superman had a different emblem. It was more angular in a lot of ways. So this is pretty much the same figure, except for, obviously the chest with the cape and the emblem. I think the chest is the same sculpt, but just kind of modified a little bit. It's not the same mold, but it's based on the same sculpt as the Forever Evil Luthor, which makes sense because he's essentially wearing the same armor, just in a different color. So it would be, the same, really. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. Lex can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but they got this armor piece, so it's going to kind of bump into that a little bit. And they raise up to the sides about that far. Yeah, the Forever Evil Lex had armor that was kind of similar to the Superpowers Lexorian battle suit. So I liked that figure an awful lot because I like that look for Luthor. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. And this is pretty much the same suit, just colored in Superman colors. Arm rotates all the way around at the bicep, and then the wrists rotate all the way around. It's on that cool Mcfarlane ball joint, so you can move those wrists around pretty much any which way you want to. He's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation, so you can move that around pretty much any which way you want to. Lex can kick up about that far. He does have like a little bit of a wobble here, but not a whole lot of articulation that's typical of Mcfarlane figures. It's enough to get some cool poses out of, so I'm not complaining. And this joint here is really stiff. He does have double jointed knees, but as you can see, this is giving me a hard time. Let's try it and see if the other one, yeah, there we go. So that's about the range of motion you get at the knees. No boot cut, but he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. So the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. His foot's going to point down about that far, point up about that far, and then he's got toe articulation just to show off. So let's go ahead and see what Lex looks like on the flight stand. And I'm going to get him into kind of a nice hovering pose. And then we can go ahead and see what he looks like on that. And there he is. So I really liked the idea of Lex Luthor trying to be a good guy. And of course, Lex Luthor is a bad guy. But, most of his badness, I think, comes from, jealousy and ego. So I don't think he's incapable of being a good person if he really put the effort in. But he's just got so much jealousy and so much ego. And you got to realize that part of his motivation in becoming the new Superman was just out of pure spite. He was part of it was trying to prove that he was better than Superman. And even the new 52 Superman, which I wasn't really a fan of that version of the character, even that one is still like a better and more heroic guy than Lex Luthor. Come on. I did really enjoy the arc of him trying to be that hero, even though obviously he wasn't going to make it. And I kind of like the idea of like the Silver Age, where that one time Lex and Clark Kent really were friends. That Lex and Superboy were actually friends, and that part of Superman still kind of wishes that maybe one day they'll be friends again. And maybe one day Luthor will clean up his act and we can be friends again. But it ain't gonna happen anytime soon, Clark. I'm sorry. He's and of course some versions of Luthor are more evil than others. Like the post-crisis version of Luthor was just a really nasty piece of work. I think that's probably the most evil version of Luthor, personally, at least out of the mainstream versions. maybe the most evil version of Luthor would have been the one from the Elseworlds special Cal that took place in like medieval times, and Luthor was like a cruel lord, and I don't even want to get into the nastiness with that, but he basically beat Lois Lane to death in that story. Yeah, that was bad. but but yeah, so Lex Luthor, one of my favorite villains of all time, trying to emulate one of my favorite heroes of all time, and missing the mark entirely, but it was cool to see him try, even if I knew it was doomed to failure. So I bought this figure on eBay. He's still like, at least last time I checked, when I bought this a few months ago, he's a relatively easy figure to get for pretty cheap, and he's definitely worth having in your collection, I think. But he is a little more niche than the regular Lex Luthor. I still need to get another one of these because my idea was to use him for a custom. So I won't get too much into that right now, but eventually I'm going to make this custom, and it's going to be cool. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We are still going to have the Ninja Turtle figures coming up that I've got, which is the Shredder 2-pack and Casey Jones. But I kind of forgot about that when I said I'm going to do Lex Luthor next. So, and then I had the idea that that Superman movie's coming out this week. I might as well open up some Superman figures. I'm not too excited about that movie, honestly, but I know a lot of people are. So, if you are, good for you. But yeah, I figured it still might, even if I'm not too jazzed about the movie, still might be a good time to talk about some Superman figures. And of course, I do have plenty of Superman figures to open, so we'll be doing that. Not only figures of Superman himself, but we just opened Superman's arch nemesis in Lex Luthor, and we're gonna have another Superman villain coming up because I've got Bizarro and I've got Supergirl. And then, a couple other figures of Superman. Like I said, I've got the Kingdom Come version over here. I've got the Fleischer cartoon version over here. And I still have the Silver Age Superman, so-called, that I need to open up. And I'm hoping at some point soon I'll be able to find that Strange Lives of Superman figure that's been popping up at Target. But I haven't seen any. It's just all been the movie stuff. And, I'm not really into the movie stuff. But yeah, hopefully I'll find that Strange Lives of Superman, because that's right up my alley. That's like classic Silver Age Kurt Swan type stuff. So anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I tell you to like and subscribe, so make sure that you like and subscribe. That way it can get out to more people, and I can tell them to like and subscribe, and more people can like and subscribe because YouTube likes it when you like and subscribe. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Lex Luthor, both the character in general and this figure specifically. And tell me what your favorite version of Lex Luthor is. Personally, I like the Bronze Age mad scientist Lex Luthor. I like the post-crisis evil businessman Lex Luthor. I kind of like it when they're both the same character. So I honestly, I think my absolute favorite version of Lex Luthor is the one from Superman the Animated Series and Justice League. And I thought he had a really interesting arc on that. And that's a Lex Luthor that I could see, even though he starts off as like an evil character, I could actually see him kind of reforming and becoming a good guy eventually. I know it's hard to imagine, but maybe it could happen. Who knows? So, but that's one that I think it's like, I don't think the post-crisis Lex Luthor could ever redeem himself. He's just a rotten apple. I think the Silver Age Lex Luthor probably could redeem himself. But the Superman animated series version, the Justice League animated, Justice League Unlimited, that version, it would be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.